Hey guys, Shane Starnes with DroidMotorX.com. Today I'm just going to do a quick side-by-side comparison of this year's model of the Nexus 7 versus last year's model of the Nexus 7. It should be pretty obvious which one comes on top, and just having played with the new Nexus 7, well, you know what, I'll get to my conclusions at the end of the video, and of course you can decide for yourself which one you like better. So these are both off of fresh boots. So I just booted into this operating system for the first time, and I've just booted into this operating system for the first time after a factory reset. So right off the bat, we'll just look at design. The new Nexus 7 is quite a bit thinner. I can actually see with my eyes, and I'm not sure if you guys can see, probably not from this video, that this stands a whole lot taller than this one. If I turn them to the side, you can probably see a little better the difference in thickness, and it really is a big difference. Now there is also a pretty large difference in weight. The new Nexus 7 feels a whole lot lighter than the old Nexus 7. Of course, the old Nexus 7 feels a whole lot bulkier, and I believe that this one is much narrower, so I can hold it in my hands a whole lot easier than I could the one from last year. Okay, another thing you'll notice here is this plastic rim on the old Nexus 7. We don't have a plastic rim on the new one, we just have the edges tapered off here, which gives it a much cleaner look. This just kind of looks plasticky and cheap. You'll look at the back, we have like that rubbery feel on this device, where this is more of a smooth matte feel. Even the Nexus logos are on here differently. The new Nexus, I guess, is meant to be used more like an old school tablet in landscape mode, while the old Nexus was designed to be more used in portrait mode. Another big obvious difference that you'll notice on the back here is we have a rear-facing camera that's a 5 megapixel autofocus camera, while there's no rear-facing camera on the back at all. We had one speaker on the Nexus 7 last year. We have stereo speakers on the new Nexus 7, which should make for a much better overall audio performance. So to show you the difference in display quality, I wanted to give you a close-up of the displays, and you probably still won't be able to see the pixel difference in the two devices. The one on the left is the 2013 device. The one on the right is the 2012 Nexus 7. The new Nexus 7 is a 1080p full high-definition display, while the older device wasn't even 720p. It did look okay on its own right, but whenever you put it side by side, the new Nexus 7 in comparison to the old Nexus 7, the new Nexus 7 far outshines in the display category. Battery life on both devices should be about the same. Google's telling us that we'll get 9 hours of high-definition playback on the new Nexus 7, which is about what we got last year on the Nexus 7. It also says that we'll have 10 hours of active web browsing on the new device, and that's about what we got on the old Nexus 7 as well. The only difference here is that the new Nexus 7 has about 375 milliamp hours less than the old Nexus 7. So we're looking at 3,950 milliamp hours versus 4,325 milliamp hours, and still they have about the same battery life. So the advantage definitely has to go to the new Nexus 7. The way that they're able to do that is with the processor. So even though it's a quicker processor, it is a more advanced processor, and it sips battery instead of using battery a little more quickly like the old Nexus 7. So one advantage to a smaller battery obviously is a thinner device, a much sleeker looking device, which is what we have with the new Nexus 7. So another big difference here is that the new Nexus 7 has 2 gigabytes of RAM, while the old Nexus 7 had only 1 gigabyte of RAM. This is going to really help with multitasking, switching between applications, and just overall speed and performance. The new Nexus 7 should have that category in the bag. So when we talk about processors, I'm going to give you guys a real-life illustration as far as the processors themselves. On the left side, the new Nexus 7 has a 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Snapdragon S4 Pro processor, which is a pretty fast processor. The Nexus 7 from last year had the very first quad-core processor in the United States. It was the NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor, which was an awesome processor at the time, but you'll notice that it does run quite a bit slower than the new quad-core processor found in the new Nexus 7. So we're just going to go through some of the pages here. You guys can see how buttery smooth it's running. Of course, there is another difference here. We're running 4.3 on the new Nexus 7 and 4.22, so that may have some effect on this, but you guys can see just how buttery smooth it's running as opposed to the old Nexus 7, which seems to have a little bit more lag. Last year I bought the Nexus 7 8GB model for $199. Today I bought the Nexus 7 2013 model for $229. So that was a $29 difference. I'm sorry, that was a $30 difference. And I will have to say that it is well worth it. Now you can probably pick up a Nexus 7 nowadays for $150 or less, depending on whether or not you buy it new. You're not going to see them in stores much longer because they will be totally replaced with a new Nexus 7. If you have an old Nexus 7 and you have $229 to spend, I would definitely say that you should go out and purchase a new Nexus 7. You can sell your old one on Craigslist for $100, $120, and that will soften the blow of the new Nexus 7, but definitely worth the upgrade in my opinion. So this was just my quick side-by-side comparison of last year's Nexus 7 and this year's Nexus 7. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel for more coverage on the new Nexus 7. You can find more of me at DroidModderX.com. I'll have the latest in Android and tech news. Follow me on Twitter at DroidModderX. Thanks for watching. Be blessed. I'll see you in the next one.